Billionaires tend to have a bit of a bad rep these days. I mean, it's easy to hate on them for living their best life on a yacht while so many others are struggling to feed their kids. But especially as the COVID-19 pandemic gripped the world, a lot of these mega wealthy individuals dug deep into their pockets, foundations, and gave back yet again. These folks are actually some of the most philanthropic people in the world, contributing in majorly big ways. Today, we're taking a closer look as we discuss the 10 biggest billionaire givers. Let's go. Number 10. Michael and Susan Dell. Lifetime donations, $2.25 billion. Net worth, $54.6 billion. Founder and CEO of Dell Technologies, Michael Dell, and his wife, Susan, have together been working to tackle issues surrounding poverty and education. Through 2020, the Michael and Susan Dell Foundation increased its annual commitments to help cover pandemic-related needs, as well as earmarking $20 million to go toward research into an effective COVID-19 treatment. The pair's foundation has also pledged $10 million over 10 years to help close the gap in college graduation rates among rich and poor students at Michael's alma mater, the University of Texas, Austin. Number 9. Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan. Lifetime donations, $2.7 billion. Net worth, $113.5 billion. Facebook's founder and CEO has done a lot of giving with his wife Priscilla in these last 5 years. In 2020, the pair marked their 5th anniversary with the advocacy and philanthropic side of their business, the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative, or CZI. Their main focus is on science, education, criminal justice, and, ironically, given Facebook's alleged role in political upheaval, election integrity is a major focus for them. In the last couple of years, CZI has donated upwards of $400 million to nonpartisan organizations to, quote, ensure voters could cast their ballots safely and securely. Number 8. Jim and Marilyn Simons. Lifetime donations, $2.7 billion. Net worth, $24.4 billion. This former math professor built his fortune through Renaissance Technologies, a hedge fund he founded in 1982. Along with his wife Marilyn, he's donated heavily among organizations participating in STEM research and education. STEM is a curriculum based on 4 specific disciplines: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In 1994, the pair founded the Simons Foundation, with its biggest fund recipients being Math for America, the New York Genome Project, and the Autism Research Institute. Number 7. Eli and Edith Broad. Lifetime donations, $2.8 billion. Net worth, $6.9 billion. Unfortunately, Mr. Broad, who was a building and insurance tycoon, passed away in April 2021 at 87, but his wife and partner in giving is still alive and kicking. Through 2020, the couple gave $136 million to various causes, including their own Broad Institute, which helped to support COVID-19 testing for college students, as well as supporting voter education and outreach across the U.S. And since Edith is such an avid art collector, the Broad Institute supports many museums through an art lending program, which has already seen more than 8,500 pieces on loan at 500 museums around the world. Number 6. Gordon and Betty Moore. Lifetime donations, $5.15 billion. Net worth, $10.1 billion. Moore is the co-founder and was longtime CEO of semiconductor manufacturer Intel. 20 years ago, he and his wife Betty started their philanthropic journey through their Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, which focuses mainly on science and environmental education, and every year awards about $270 million in grants to people and organizations working on efforts to help curb the loss of Earth's biodiversity. Number 5. Mackenzie Scott. Lifetime donations, $5.83 billion. Net worth, $56.7 billion. While you certainly won't see her ex-husband on this list, the former Mrs. Jeff Bezos has done a lot of giving since her 2019 divorce from the world's richest man, depending on the week. In just over 1 year of active philanthropy, according to Forbes, Scott has, quote, outshined her peers by miles. But to be fair, though, it's probably easier to part with the cash when you didn't make it yourself. With help from nonprofit organization Bridgespan Group, she handed out more grants in 6 months than the Gates Foundation typically hands out in 1 year. During the heated Black Lives Matter protests in the U.S. after the death of George Floyd in 2020, Scott donated $1.7 billion to 116 organizations focused on racial and social inequality, as well as inequality based on sexual orientation, economic mobility, and gender. Number 4. Michael Bloomberg. Lifetime donations $11.1 billion. Net worth $59 billion. With a heavy focus on climate change and health, New York's former mayor and co-founder of Bloomberg LP, Michael Bloomberg, has been donating to worthy causes since 2006 when he founded Bloomberg Philanthropies. Some of his more notable donations include contributing more than $1 billion to organizations to curb tobacco use in the last decade, as well as more than $330 million to agencies handling matters surrounding COVID-19, everything from medical research to buying meals for doctors and nurses. Furthermore, Bloomberg has committed to donating $100 million over the next 4 years to fund scholarship bursaries at 4 historically black medical schools in the U.S. Number 3. George Soros. Lifetime donations $16.8 billion. Net worth $6.8 billion. Through 2020, this 91-year-old donated $140 million through the Soros Open Society Foundation, which focuses on fostering democracy and voters' rights in 120 countries. When the COVID pandemic hit, Soros, who was born in Hungary, pledged $37 million to help undocumented immigrants in the U.S. who were excluded from financial aid. And much like Mackenzie Scott, after the killing of George Floyd in 2020, Soros earmarked $220 million to help leaders in black communities across the U.S. And Alexer, if you'd like the inside scoop on how Soros became such a wealthy investor, check out his book, The Alchemy of Finance. Thanks to our friends at Audible, if you go to alex.com/freebook and sign up for the first time, you can get it for free as an audiobook. Number 2. Bill Gates. Lifetime donations $28.9 billion. Net worth $136.1 billion. While most of his donating was done as a duo with ex-wife Melinda, the now-divorced Bill Gates has been known as a big giver for a long time. Along with Warren Buffett, who we look at next, he co-founded the Giving Pledge, which encourages extremely wealthy people to give away most of their money to charitable causes before they die. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the second largest philanthropic organization in the world, and in 2020 pledged $1.75 billion over 2 years to fund research, tests, treatment, and vaccines for COVID-19. Number 1. Warren Buffett. Lifetime donations $42.8 billion. Net worth $104.4 billion. And here we are. Couldn't have a list of the biggest billionaire givers without him. Of course, Big Daddy Buffett takes the top spot. As we just mentioned, he's the co-founder of the Giving Pledge, but also a legendary investor, chairman, and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. According to Forbes, Buffett has given away more than $40 billion so far, much of it through grants to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where it goes toward causes like healthcare and poverty reduction. Buffett also gives away billions in stock every year to 4 charities close to his heart. The organization started by 3 of his children and 1 by his late wife, Susan. Alright, Alexer, that's a wrap on the 10 biggest billionaire givers, all but 2 of which have signed that Giving Pledge. We're curious to know, if you had this kind of money, would you pledge to give away most of your fortune to charity before you die? Or would you Scrooge McDuck that shit? Join the conversation in the comments, we'll be right there with you. And of course, you know what happens now. You hung in there with us until the end, and you get a bonus for that. Charles Chuck Feeney. Lifetime donations $8 billion. Net worth $1.5 million. Alright, so this guy isn't actually a billionaire anymore, but that's because he's kicking ass and taking names when it comes to achieving his goal to die broke. Yeah, you heard me right. Feeney became a billionaire through founding the Hong Kong-based duty-free shoppers group and began anonymously giving away parts of his fortune in the 60s. Actually, his giving while living MO is what inspired Buffett and Gates to create their Giving Pledge in the first place. Over the years, he and his wife have donated $3.7 billion to education through their organization Atlantic Philanthropies, which they recently shut down after giving away the last of its assets. Thanks for spending some time with us today, Alexer. We're so glad you did. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like, hit that bell icon to never miss another video, and don't forget to subscribe.